Hello, welcome to Apple Insights. Before I start the video, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. From the little we've heard so far, iOS 18 could be one of the most interesting software releases of 2024, with early leaks suggesting it will sport some major new features and designs, along with a big focus on AI. Given that we described iOS 17 as one of the best iOS updates we've seen in years, in our 4.5-star iOS 17 review, the idea that iOS 18 could be an even more substantial update is certainly appealing. That said, we don't know much about this update yet, so it's unclear exactly what it will offer. What little we have heard you'll find below, along with information on the possible release date and the phones we expect to be supported. OS 18 will almost certainly launch in mid-September 2024, given that every major iOS release from iOS 6 onwards has started rolling out between September 13th and September 20th of their release year. This launch will probably coincide, roughly, with the launch of the iPhone 16 line and the Apple Watch 10. However, you won't have to wait until September to see some of iOS 18's features, or even to give it a try, because Apple typically announces new iOS versions at WWDC, which is generally held in early June. That means we'll get a good taste of iOS 18's talents at WWDC 24. Here we get our first look at many of the key features, and shortly after that, Apple releases developer previews, followed by public betas. So if you don't mind a few bugs, you'll probably be able to try an unfinished version of iOS 18 long before September. We don't yet know which phones will support iOS 18, but for reference, iOS 17 works on every iPhone from the iPhone XR and iPhone XS onwards. Apple dropped support for the iPhone 8, iPhone 8 Plus, and iPhone X, all of which landed in the same year as each other, 2017. So it's likely that with iOS 18, Apple will drop support for iPhones released in 2018, namely the iPhone XR, iPhone XS, and iPhone XS Max. That would mean you'd need an iPhone 11 or newer to get iOS 18. Well, this is the most likely scenario based on recent history, but this is just speculation for now. There aren't many iOS 18 leaks yet, but one thing we have heard is that Apple is spending big on AI servers and features, and that the first fruits of these efforts will be ready in later 2024. Apple GPT, the company's rumored ChatGPT rival, is apparently being worked on internally, and it could help reinvent both Siri and AppleCare. As well as an AI chatbot, Apple is also reportedly working on image-generating AI, and both of these AI features could potentially get baked into Siri to upgrade Apple's increasingly disappointing digital assistant. Similarly, we've heard that Apple's AI-powered Siri assistant could be unveiled as soon as WWDC 2024, which is when we're expecting to get our first official look at iOS 18. But reportedly, it might only work with the iPhone 16, and later, suggesting this feature might need dedicated hardware. We don't know much about how Siri might improve, but one example given is that it could replace the Shortcuts app, working as a simple way to complete complex tasks. As an example, you might be able to ask Siri to create a GIF from the last 5 photos you've taken and then send them to a contact, all with a simple voice command. Elsewhere, Bloomberg's Mark Gurman has claimed that Apple has internally described iOS 18 as a major upgrade, calling it ambitious and compelling with some major new features and designs. However, Apple also reportedly put a freeze on developing iOS 18 in November in order to iron out glitches. This is a rare occurrence which could suggest some of the planned features are proving problematic. That in turn might mean some features are delayed or canceled, but that remains to be seen. Another habit Apple has that we're not fond of is locking Android out of features like iMessage and SharePlay. This is unfortunate but somewhat understandable. Where it becomes less understandable, though, is when those features involve safety, as is the case with Check-In. This iOS 17 feature is an automated way to let loved ones know you've arrived safely home, or conversely, let them know you might not be safe if you haven't checked in. And in the latter case, enable select people to see where your phone is. But it requires both the sender and recipient to have iOS 17 in order to function, meaning not only can Android users not actively use the feature, understandable, they also can't receive check-in notifications from others, less so. So with iOS 18, we'd like to see Apple open the feature up to Android users so that even if they can't automate their own check-ins, they can receive these automated messages and alerts from friends and family members using iOS. Rumors suggest Apple is going to heavily feature AI in iOS 18, and it's likely that Siri will be one of the main recipients of this. We certainly hope so, because the likes of ChatGPT make Siri in its current form look incredibly dated. particularly now that ChatGPT voice is available for free on iOS. These Siri upgrades could perhaps allow for more natural, fluid conversation, as well as allowing Siri to carry out far more complex tasks than simply Googling something or turning your smart lights on. One feature we really wish Apple would borrow from Android is the ability to simply tap in the center of a word to place the cursor there, so that you can then easily correct typos. Currently, to get to the center of a word, you have to hold the spacebar and drag, which works well enough but is substantially slower. We don't expect this in iOS 18, but it would be nice to see. Beyond Siri, we hope Apple bakes AI into other parts of iOS 18. But we want this done thoughtfully, rather than with half-baked or gimmicky features. In particular, we'd like to see photography given a big AI toolset to help with the editing of images. We're thinking things like Google's Magic Eraser and Magic Editor tools, which let you move or remove things in photos. And it'd also be interesting to see spatial photos and videos become more accessible so that they're not just designed for Apple Vision Pro owners. Stay plugged into the Apple world. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notifications bell so you never miss an update. For all things Apple, leaks, and news, we've got you covered. And we'll catch you in the next video.